welcome to the Intuitively Wild podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Levine. Living intuitively wild is about coming back home to ourselves. Here, we talk about how to live connected to ourselves, others, and nature, and make a commitment to radical authenticity, vulnerability, and acceptance. On this podcast, we delve into a wide range of topics that span the human experience. We peel back the layers and talk about the things that are often not talked about. This is a space for us all to walk and wander this path of life together. Let's dig into our roots and go deep. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
So happy to have you here. What is something you wish people knew about you that you don't think many do?
I'm not sure, honestly. I feel like I'm a pretty open book. That's part of my work and my style is I'm just so raw about everything, especially expectations that people put on me based on my work and stuff like that. I love just kind of squashing and killing that as soon as possible. Even if it's comments when people are like, oh, you're so wise or whatever, I bring it back to like, yeah, I'm fucking dumb sometimes. Or, talking about the fact that a lot of it is just from my teachers and stuff like that, or just the way life has shaped me. So in that sense, I'm like happy that I don't really have these reserves of protecting my image and stuff like that. And in my newsletters, I'm so raw about everything. And it's been nice to see how much like good feedback I've gotten from that. Like people are like, wow, like that's what I was feeling or going through recently. And it helps me feel good about being so transparent all the time, especially just in social media. It's so easy to just paint the picture that you want. Although it can be cringe sometimes to like cry on a camera. I really do try to do that as much as I can, just be like really transparent. So honestly, I don't know what parts might not be like obvious or I don't really share about.
I really love that because I think in the spiritual world especially, it's so important to break those barriers. I think it can be easy for us to put these like spiritual gurus or teachers on pedestals. And I think that's when this spiritual world can run into issues. And so really just leveling the playing field and being like, one reason why you're seeing me as a guide or a teacher is because I've done it, because I'm in it, because I embody it,
Totally.
What is something that you think people need to know about you in order to really know who you are?
I think the fact that I'm like in all of it. I'm not just like love and light and Kundalini yoga kind of vibe, because I've been teaching yoga for a long time. So I think the ideas that people do associate with me are very wrapped around these narratives that to be a good yoga practitioner, you're vegan and all these kinds of things. So like, I'm not vegan. I was for 10 years. It's a long ride in that land. But yeah, that I could listen to like dembo and like reggaeton and like all these different kind of things and also do my japa mantra. I grew up in the hood and my culture is definitely very much intertwined with who I am. And also I've learned about so many other cultures and different religions and so forth. So I also don't even have just like one worldview perspective, Hindu or Catholic or whatever. It really is just like a whole collage of so many different perspectives and outlooks, which I think is nice because it helps me not just judge people as being right or wrong, or even myself. I'm very lenient with like, this is how I feel about it now, but I might not feel that way about it in 2 years from now. So I'm really into the objective reasoning instead of just like the subjective ways of looking at things. I feel like if you're just looking for a particular person, I'm like a billion people. I think that's important to know. And it has thrown some people off, but it also has helped people not feel so attached to their ways they identify themselves or the bubbles they might put themselves in. Oh, I can feel this and also feel this at the same time, or I can think that my natural beauty is great and put makeup on one day and that's still fine and I'm still naturally beautiful. So yeah, I think that's pretty important people to have a disclaimer about.
Yeah. No, I really love that. And I resonate with so much of what you just said. And I'm a big advocate for taking the labels off and taking ourselves out of boxes and like encouraging us all to be really open-minded with ourselves and allowing ourselves to change. And I don't know if you know about human design.
A little bit.
You're a manifesting generator, which I am as well. So that's like very multi-passionate and also just a mix of all the experiences you've had, and you've lived many different lives and you're interested in so many different things. And also part of your chart allows you to be really open-minded and see different perspectives. It is so beautiful and also so important in this world we live to look at someone as a whole human and not just certain pieces of how they're presenting themselves.
Totally, and I think that that's important because then you're going to be disappointed. Those kind of boxes, I think you'll either disappoint yourself when you realize a new aspect of you is born, or especially a teacher, you'll be so disappointed. I remember when I was like maybe 5 years into yoga and stuff, I swore to be enlightened. You needed to be vegan and all these things. And then I met my Buddhist teacher in college, who is like a whole ass enlightened being. He's amazing, Professor Flink. I remember I would see him drinking a Coke and a ham sandwich every day, every single day. And I was like, what is this guy teaching about Buddhism and all this stuff, and this is his diet? I was so confused, but he was like the wisest person I ever met and was really able to show me how much I didn't know and how much I just thought I had things figured out, which was such a limiting factor in my journey at that point. I grew so much respect for him, and he really like blasted my mind open in the best ways. And at the end of the semester, I was like, dude, I gotta ask you, like, why the ham sandwich every day? And he's like, well, that's what my honey packs me every day. And I was like, okay, this is a whole new way of looking at life. Just that offering and that gesture of love and him receiving that from his wife, that was part of their connection, and how she showed her love to him and care, and him receiving it as part. So it was so beautiful, and it really just changed my whole mind, because at first, instead of just being like this disappointing thing, or I'm gonna disregard him as not being real deal because this is what he's eating, he actually showed me a whole deeper part of life through that.
I've had very similar experiences, and now I'm at the place where like the people I'm most drawn to and also how I want to walk in the world myself are the people who just fully embrace it all, fully accept themselves and are confident in themselves and not trying to keep up appearances or fit into this idea of what something is supposed to look like. It takes so much courage to do that and to commit to that consistently, and also to just not care what people think.
Honestly, I've always joked about this. I had to like do the opposite and actually start caring more, because I just never cared about anything at all, to the point where I feel like my life was just so reckless. I just like didn't even care about my life, honestly. It's been a journey to like actually start caring more and seeing how I can just be a better service if I do care a little more. Yeah, I can be myself, but how can I actually make this a teaching, or make it poetic, or make it art so people can digest it and learn about themselves in some way, or just learn about life in another way, which is why I try not to be as antisocial anymore and stuff like that, and care about people and the connection with them and all that good stuff. But yeah, that honestly like my superpower. Like I just do not care about like judgments and whatever.
That is a superpower. So what did that look like before you started to care more, and was there a turning point where you were like, okay, I'm gonna change how I'm navigating the world a bit?
Yeah, just the idea of disappointing people and things like that. Like I just didn't care at all. It was to the extremes. But once I started like burning bridges that were actually really beautiful and meaningful to me, I was like, oh, okay, I gotta do something. I gotta change something, because in those moments of people I really cared about, or just something beyond me, a vision beyond just my own little life and stuff, seeing that be affected by my lack of care really just kind of woke me up to not just thinking about myself, and seeing how my actions or my lack of actions and my words or lack of words could be a disservice for people I really love and care about. Just connecting to the whole idea of oneness and the web of how we all are, like pulling on the strings and pulling other people along with that. It helped a lot, and then having really good mentors that I saw that really took their role and their actions seriously in the world, and how I wouldn't have benefited without their care and attention to all the things that they do in the details.
I'm really curious how your spiritual journey started, because it does sound like you have had many teachers and mentors and learned from so many different modalities. So I'd love to know where it all began.
My first teacher is definitely my mom. She started me off started me off right. She grew up with herbalism and witchcraft too, living in the middle of nowhere in El Salvador. Medicine is just very different than it is when you just have access to regular doctors and stuff like that. Her and her 9 siblings were all home births, no one else there, just her mom and dad.
Sounds like my dream life.
Yeah, same. Same. Every form of healing was with different kind of plants and herbs, but also energy work and stuff like that. So I was very much raised with that, but I thought it was weird. I literally would always tell my mom, stop with the herbs, like give me Pepto-Bismol, that's what's on the commercial. That's what everyone else here is doing. Like we live in the US now. And it only took my foot literally almost falling off from a surgery that would not heal. It was a huge ball of pus, my foot. And the Western medicine was just not doing anything. And I was terrified. And she's like, are you ready for me to heal your foot with herbs? And I was like, dude, you can piss on my foot. Like you could spit on
I'll
it.
take anything.
Anything at this point.
How old were you then?
I was like 15.
Okay.
And then she soaked my foot with like oregano and salt, some other stuff, and prayed over the water. I had immediate relief, and the swelling was down like 50% in like 5 hours. It stopped oozing pus the next day. She did maybe like 2 more washes, and my foot was like healed. And I already really was into plants and stuff, but I didn't just have the faith that I acquired during that experience. And it became just a full devotion, my connection with them, which then led to too much of an extreme where I was like, all Western medicine's bad. And then, I had to learn the hard way that sometimes I need to pop a Tylenol. And I do sometimes. But yeah, so that was really the deep initiation to just nature, just being like, wow, like nature is powerful. There's so much I don't know. And then that led me to like making medicine with different plants and salves. Then I was interested, so she would teach me more about it. She still loves, now I like know what she's telling me, but she still tells me anyways. And I'm like, I'll hear it. Sure, you're gonna die one day. Let's hear it. No problem. But then she also was part of this radical Catholic group. Not like normal Catholic, because their whole thing is that like through just prayer, anybody can create healings and transformation, or just catch the Holy Ghost in that place and all that kind of stuff. And it was awesome. So I developed like a really strong connection to Jesus through that. And then at that point, once I was like 16, I started using a bunch of drugs and stuff like that, and just hanging out with people that were a little crazier than me. I was crazy, but they were even crazier, so it got crazy. I had also started working with mushrooms here and there, but it was like drugs and mushrooms, so it was just unhinged. And I think it was my 16th birthday. I was in a car. They were doing all kinds of stuff in there, in this van. And we just drive around in
Drugs in the van.
Suburban life. There was just one day I'm in the back of the car and on a lot of mushrooms, I think ketamine too. And I'm just feeling ultimately depressed. The darkest darkness I ever felt that just came out of nowhere. And I don't know, it felt like Jesus, God, or whatever, whoever this voice comes from was just like, get out of this car right now and don't ever come back in or you will die. And I was like, okay. I'm like, pull over the car. And I literally ran out of the car. They never called me or checked on me or nothing at all. I never called them ever again because that voice told me not to. So I never spoke to these people ever again or saw them ever again, except when I found out that a lot of them like died like from overdoses and stuff. So I was like, all right, whatever that voice is, keep talking to me, like keep guiding me, because it worked. And then there was this huge period of loneliness at that point where I like stayed with that voice, and it was like, don't go back. What meant that all my friends were in that world. From overnight, I had 0 friends. And then school was just bizarre for me. So I would leave all the time and go chill in the preserves, like the woods. But then my senior year, when I was 17, I started practicing yoga and studying about Hinduism and the chakras and meditation and all that stuff. Around that time too, before yoga, I hit the biggest rock bottom. I'll try to make this part quick.
Oh, you're fine. Go.
Okay, cool.
Go wherever you want to go.
All right, sweet. It's a crazy ass story. I was dating my teacher in high school, and
Crazy.
Oh Lord. Dating a teacher who was a woman who was the principal's daughter, and the principal is also a pastor. It was a lot. We got caught. She was on News 12 and all that good stuff. And we got caught because I ran away from home because I wanted out of the relationship. I started to feel that voice again being like, girl, what are you doing? You're lying to your family every day. Because of that, my mom put a missing report in. And then they went through my laptop and they found pictures of her and me and all that stuff. So again, there's all these switches in my life are like overnight. And I remember I'm coming back from the train. Meanwhile, I was cheating on her with some like tattoo girl in the Bronx that I cut school with. So I'm heading back and because I saw her on News 12 and the girl's like, you're underage? Like what? I'll let myself out. Yeah. I'll probably never see you again. Bye. So I'm leaving and I call her on the phone and I'm like, yo, we got caught. I'm so sorry. She's like, my life is ruined. Never spoke to her again. Never heard from her ever again. It's like so many years ago. So yeah, all these shifts when I was just not walking a good path and prayed about it and was like, Lord, show me the way. Like I'm in a spiral that I don't even know how to get out from. It would just be like ultimate destruction and chaos immediately. Like immediately. So I'm like very careful with how I walk now.
At least the response is immediate and you're not just digging the hole deeper.
I think it comes from like my courageous heart to be like, dude, if it is setting me on fire, do it. Whatever it has to be, just do it. So that was the vibe. So I never spoke to her again. The main part of that, why I even brought this up, is because my mom just didn't know what to do with my crazy ass anymore. So she literally locked me in my room. Meanwhile, before that, she would board up my windows because I would sneak out every night and I would like with a screwdriver, take them out, sneak out, and then screw them back on when I came in. My poor mom, she would like wake up every hour to make sure I was in there. And I love her. I'm like, I gotta stop hurting this lady. So yeah, she locked me in my room. I had no phone, no computer. I stopped going to school. I was homeschooled. I couldn't talk to any friends. No friends could come over. It was like for real, just me in my room. And that was the first time I meditated. That was like the deepest spiritual journey of my life.
I'm sure.
It was like Vipassana, like times 1,000. Forced Vipassana while I'm like sitting with all these feelings of shame and hating myself, feeling like I just want to die, you know? But being forced to sit with that. There was no escape. There was nothing to numb it with. I didn't even have weed to smoke or anything or tobacco. And my journal from this time is pretty cool too. It's like, what is the meaning of life and all this stuff? But yeah, I was sitting in my bed one day and I was just thinking about the walls. I was just tripping out on how these walls have like seen me and held me, but then it felt like the walls were talking to me and I'm like tripping sober in my room. And then there was just this grace that came over me of you're actually okay. Like you're fundamentally okay and you're fundamentally good and loved and you can create whatever you want out of this in your life. You can change the narrative again and again and again. I just went into like this deep state of meditation of just like emptiness, but everything. It was very beautiful. And then I was like, whatever that was, I need to find out what that was. So yeah, later on, I started finding meditation and yoga and all that stuff. I would always come back to that moment in my room, that extreme peace I felt amongst shame and pain and confusion. And there was space for all of it at the same time. And there wasn't like a pushing towards something or pulling away from anything. It was just watching it. The same way that my walls were watching me that whole time. They weren't judging me. They weren't saying you're doing a good job or a bad job. They were just there. And I like was able to like find that place of like, just watching my life. And it gave me this stillness and this peace that I find saved my life at that point. When I graduated high school, I started teaching yoga right away. I had a studio right by my house. It was awesome. And I learned about Ayurveda through that. And before that, I was diabetic and obese and had all these health issues and stuff. So the Ayurveda and the yoga really helped get my health right, being able to just feel good in my body. I'm convinced body and mind are very connected. So just my quality of thought started to shift once my health started to shift. Then I met my friend, Chris, who had been down in the Amazon and was working with the Matsui tribe with like kambo, hape, sananga, like different medicines down there. So he brought them back, and at this point I had a crush on him. So I'm like, you sure, Chris?
I'll do whatever you say.
Exactly. Put combo poison on me, sure. I really went into it being like, yeah, I'm tough and cool. I can do this, to like healing my chronic ulcers and chronic disorders that I was struggling with just with one sit. At first, I'm like, well, I'm never doing that again. That was insane. But when this chronic pain I had in my stomach every day for years went away and didn't come back for over a month, I was like, well, I'm curious about this. So I did 3 sits in a month, which is another protocol with combo. I was so okay with having a crazy period. Sometimes I would get it, sometimes I wouldn't. I would almost pass out from my cramps sometimes. And I was just like, whatever, this is just my life and it's normal. But after those 3 sits with combo, I had my period new moon every month, no pain. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know this was possible. I kept working with combo and different kind of medicines for many years until I started serving it maybe like 6 years ago or something. And then just working with a lot of different Amazonian medicines like ayahuasca and stuff. It's been a big part of my journey, and music and traveling. It's just kind of all come together in a beautiful way. And it's still going, you know, and I still reconnect with old practices and new practices. They all have their seasons on what takes the forefront, especially in my work and offerings and stuff.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing all of that. I want to dig a little deeper into the combo and the medicine side. From my experience witnessing other people, not here, but other places I've lived, get into their medicine journey, I think there can be a fine line between it being profoundly healing and nourishing and another form of escapism and disconnection. I would love to hear any reflections you have around that and what you witnessed with navigating it.
Totally. I find that because I was raised with a lot of the philosophies around these kind of medicines and just connection to spirit and to magic and all that as a kid, I wasn't like so blown away. The first time I did ayahuasca, I'm like, oh, cool, I know this world. So there was a casualness to it that I find has helped me never become addicted to it, or I'm like just relying on it. Like my answers are gonna come from here. If anything, I've just gone into with this curiosity of like, what can be revealed or what can I get greater clarity on what I already know? Because I do my work every day, you know, like I'm not just popping up to a ceremony expecting a miracle, but sometimes that is when it happens, when you're not even expecting it. Even with combo, I don't feel like it was just the combo that took that ulcer away. I think it was the years of fixing my diet beforehand and addressing emotional issues and apologizing to people that I hurt. I think that like was just all part of it. And then I've served people combo who have chronic pain, and I serve them and then the pain goes away. Months later, like, hey, the pain came back. And every time I ask them, like, what happened? Something happened. Like, it's never been like, I don't know. Like, and one of them is like, oh, I started drinking a lot again, or I started doing this again, or whatever. That for me confirms that these medicines are not what's healing. It's your actual day-to-day actions and your relationship to your mind, to your environment, to your family, to your body that is actually going to determine if this is a sustainable transformation that comes from it. And then if you're just going to put these medicines on a pedestal and like totally disempower your own will and responsibility in life, or if it's going to be an amazing ally for your life and something that you can go back to kind of reset when things get a little foggy or when you're looking for a different angle of information. I'm very grateful for the way I was raised because of that. I really just feel that I can have a magical experience with a rose. It doesn't need to be a wild psychedelic plant. Honestly, I'm a Virgo. I love being very grounded and on this earth, very much. So it has to be like all perfect timing and stuff for me even to show up in a ceremony that is with psychedelics. I never felt like this chasing it or seeking it or forcing it at all. So I think that's why like I have been able to remain so grounded throughout the journey with working with these medicines. And I mean, it's funny, like I only sat with ayahuasca twice and then I was invited to play music for them. I didn't even want to do that. I just said yes to that because it felt right. And I think that the reason why I even like ended up in those spaces, in those positions, was because of the groundedness that I carry with it all. So that's important because even like, you know, hape, like the tobacco snuff, people use it all day, every day, which to each their own. But I like the curious aspect of, well, what happens if I don't use it all day? Even with cannabis, like I've had such a rendezvous with that where I have been in the pits of smoking all day long and I'm like, dude, I'm losing myself. I'm losing the part of my intuition and my like power, my like own magic to just being with this plant all the time. Like I actually like myself.
Yeah.
So I want to like, you know, always try to create that balance. Yeah, so I think it's important for people to not like just put the plants on pedestals and to know that like you got to do your own work, because a lot of the stuff that the plants also show you, we don't always want to see or like hear. And if you just disregard that work and think you can go have this big experience again, I actually have seen it just bring great depression and mania to people, and they destroy their lives, which can be okay. My life got destroyed many times, but if you don't know how to rebuild it, then you're in a bit of a pickle.
Oh my God, I think that's such a good point. The fact that so many people who revere it or pedestalize it or even are completely destroyed by it are people who are coming from a world where there's no magic, and that wasn't normalized. They don't see a rose and see magic. They don't know how to use it in their everyday life, and so this experience with medicine is a completely different world to them. It makes so much sense that that could be a really big deterrent in it being a healing tool, because of either their attachment to it or their inability to integrate it and then actually embody what that medicine taught them. It's the embodiment piece that's the most important. And that comes from being able to take what you've learned in these acute situations and weave it into your day-to-day rituals. So I'm curious what your regular rituals are in your life.
One of the consistents, which like I was saying why I moved up here, is just being with nature. Doing things is cool, but I just like sitting and like staring at a tree. It's like my favorite thing in the world to do. I definitely do that every single day of my life. Like I just sit and just stare off like an old lady on my porch for a long time. And it's nice to just give myself space for things to come and go, if it's insights, if it's emotions, to be acknowledged and felt, and then they can just move again with like the breeze. And I feel like then when I find that moment of stillness, like the magic just feels like it has the space to emerge and to be witnessed. Like just the birds or a little hummingbird will come, or I'll just notice something so special like in the field that I look at every single day, but like something new will be in that field that day. The other day there was like a big old bear that just walked by, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, if I wasn't just sitting here doing nothing, I would have missed that moment of magic that it feels like it is a conversation and a relationship. So I feel like that's the most important thing, just creating the time to feel that I'm not just this robot that's working and moving around the world, but I have a relationship with this earth, and there's a conversation that's always there. There's a song that's always there. But if I don't take the time to stop and listen, I will forget that that magic is always consistently 24/7 singing and dancing. That's really important to me. And nourishment food is really important to me too. I feel like it gives me such a moment to feel gratitude for the water that's creating the soil and the plants and the people are harvesting it. And even my own garden, feeling like I'm like, again, in relationship with this earth by just eating and drinking, and what I can do with that energy, like may I use it well, and things like that. So it's like kind of boring. It's like eating and staring out into the woods, but that keeps me sane and good.
No, you were seriously speaking my language, especially the fact that we are in constant communication with nature, and that is a foundational relationship in our life that so many people are disconnected from. And I think if we all took the time to sit outside in our backyards and just look at that tree that we see every day and actually leave space to process life and talk to nature, our world would be a dramatically different place. There's so many reasons why people don't do that. They're uncomfortable with the silence and with the stillness and with the solitude. And I think also people think that that's a privilege or a waste of time. And really, it's the simplest act of devotion to our life. It's a necessity that we all need to do.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's why we just feel like we're so alone, or we need the tarot reading to tell us what to do with our life, or we need the shaman to come cleanse us. Literally taking a few deep breaths outside can give you answers. Clarity, insight can just emerge simply by doing that. You don't even need to go on a vacation to Costa Rica for 2 weeks or whatever to have a reset. Like it can literally be an intentional shower. And so that's why I feel the idea of it being a privilege is almost like a horrible excuse.
I agree.
Because it can be so simple and it can be normal, to live the life that we dream of being connected or cultivating peace or being one with nature. It's everywhere, even your breath. Even just a mindful breath can connect you to nature deeply, and it's free and it's here, accessible all the time.
I'm not sure if you've had a similar experience where I feel like so many people are curious about my connection to my intuition and how I rely on it so heavily and I use it to direct my life. And while I'm so grateful for that connection I have, I don't think I'm special. I think we all have this profound inner connection that we detach ourselves from. And it's practices like these that allow us to foster that I really do believe is within everyone.
I find that even what we were saying before about this big medicine journey, you get shown all these things, all these parts of you, you feel one with everything and grand, and then you're out of that state and now you feel small again. And I think that actually believing that we are connected or that we have a strong intuition or that we have this huge capacity to create our lives, I find that it can be intimidating, or we just don't want to believe it, because then if you believe it, then you have a responsibility to nurture that and to then embody that. And playing small, I think we're just taught that, especially even just being women, like if you are confident or whatever, you're just labeled all these things that like aren't nice, or you're conceited or whatever. I find that there's spiritual work in even just believing in your divinity or believing in your grandness and not feeling like you have to just keep it small to make everyone else comfortable or to make yourself comfortable.
No, I agree. One of the most spiritual practices for me is choosing to be confident and choosing to own that I feel like I have a purpose and that I have power and magic, and claiming certain witchy practices. And it can be so terrifying to do those things. I remember the first time I used the word witch around family, and that was just so foreign to them and so hard for them to understand. And it's just a label, it's just a name. Sometimes labels are important and helpful and sometimes they're not, but the idea that we all have this magic, this power within us to step into, and we have been taught to play small. That's really scary.
I mean, even like the root word of witch being wise woman, and feeling like, no, that's bad, wrong.
Yeah.
It's like, well, where did that come from?
Exactly.
I've always felt really inspired to honestly make people uncomfortable. So I would use those words and things like that to just almost ignite some sort of reaction in people. Why do I feel so adverse to this? Or why do I feel so adverse to this person being confident? Because I had to do that. I remember when I first heard a woman sing or take up space, I would be like, ew, what, like, gross, because I couldn't do that, so there was like this hidden jealousy there of someone else being able to express themselves and be confident and all that I just didn't feel. And I realized how important it was to even have that feeling of ill or discomfort or crumbling in my skin, because that was like just such information for me.
I think that our jealousy and our resistance to certain people and certain characteristics is a sign for us, and there's something deeper there. And usually it's because we want what they have, or we want to own a part of ourselves that we've deemed not okay. And I've had a similar situation where I had to look at these people doing things that I wanted to do and be like, I'm so happy they're doing it, and I'm gonna do it too.
Totally. A big one for me was rich people that just had money and can spend it on things. I'd be like, that's not spiritual or whatever. And I had to really go into the world of like, where are these blocks of why I felt that I couldn't be like comfortable and have the things that I want? Why did I feel I couldn't do that, or that would be wrong for me, that I'm judging these other people for just being successful, living their life and being happy? And I had this wonderful mentor and friend, Mami Onami. She just taught me so much. She has these wonderful courses around not being broke, marketing, also like authentic marketing, and being okay with making money off spiritual gifts and stuff like that. I thought it was just wrong, and there was just so much that I had to work through and feel through with that whole process. And a lot of it was just even my own laziness. So
Yeah, I think it's so interesting how a lot of people in the spiritual world saying these people shouldn't make money, or people in that world feeling insecure about asking for money for their services. And then people who are doing work that isn't as intentional or in integrity don't think twice about asking for exorbitant amounts of money.
Don't think twice.
Yeah.
And aren't like, and you can have a discount here, and I'm giving this free here sample. Like, do you want to try it? Can I show you that it's good enough for you to pay me? It's really crazy. Meanwhile, I've helped women who went through IVF and all these expensive treatments to try to get pregnant, and a few combo sessions and some herbal protocol, have healthy babies within months. Why would I not place the same value on that like Western medicine is paying on helping women with that? It's kind of absurd.
It is. Maybe it's just who I'm surrounding myself with, but I've seen more people talking about the importance of asking for the right compensation for these kinds of services, and I think it is so important. And just like owning our power, I mean, it kind of fits in there, but we should own that we need to make money. That's just a fact, and that is a good thing.
Yeah, and I think that like where it gets a little weird in the spiritual communities is because like monks don't make money. A lot of these gurus weren't out working. But do you see the monasteries they're in and the ashrams and the grandness of what is around them? Like that all takes a lot of money. Maybe they're not the ones making money, but a lot of these huge temples and stuff, people did donate a lot of money to build them. Right. So like money is still there. It might not be that they're working a 9-to-5 job or asking for money for healings or whatever, but money is still there to even make that possible for these things to be as grand as they are. And I went to Amma, do you know Amma, the Saint Amma?
Yeah.
She's awesome. I had a hug by her. But yeah, she was at this huge hotel in New York City, and she employs women who are victims of sex trafficking and stuff to create all kinds of beautiful clothing and all kinds of nice stuff. And that's really cool because she's not just giving them money, she's actually showing them how to earn money, like through their skills and their hard work. And then at these conferences where there's thousands and thousands of people are buying it and stuff like that. But yeah, you know how much people are donating money to Amma and stuff? And especially just even there. So many people bought those things, so she is able to give back to people and build schools and help women and children and all this with money. I honestly had to turn it into like, I can actually help people way more if I'm not broke. If I'm broke, I'm just asking for money, and I don't want to be a begging monk. That's great if you want to be, but like that's just not my path or my life right now. So I need money so that I feel safe and comfortable, and then can from a full cup go ahead and serve. And not ask my friends for discounts for their stuff and pay them full price and keep everything going in a good way.
Exactly. It's a circulation of reciprocal energy. And maybe years ago, the herbalist didn't need to get money as their compensation because the circulation of energy was just in a different way, but that's not the way our world is working right now. And I mean, this is a whole other rabbit hole. But one way to undermine healers and other people doing this kind of work is by enforcing this belief that they shouldn't be compensated, and therefore they can't own their full power because they're not in a safe place to feel rested and abundant with that energy, you know?
Totally. I've just seen it.
Too many times.
Too many times. It's like this frazzledness, it's this ungroundedness, it's not ever being able to root down in one particular place. And then there's the aspect of if everyone else is taking care of you, your life is just in other people's hands all the time. Yes. And there's this insecurity that is also born from that. And then there's like this greed that can come from that too, because it's like, well, I don't ever have enough, so like where can I take? Where can I like, you know, make it so that I do feel safe? And it's just, and I just lived in that for so long. Yeah. So it's from a very experienced place that I can truly just say the value of like getting rid of all those blocks and those beliefs that like, you know, to be humble, you have to be broke, or to be like really in integrity and authentic, that like you need to be doing all this stuff for free, because it doesn't work out that way. I mean, I paid thousands of dollars for my yoga teacher training. I didn't question that. Why would I question what I deserve to like carry on that information? It's time, it's energy, it's so much. And I really am glad that I'm not at the point where I feel like I need to justify what I charge either. I'm like, it's just, there's so much involved in it. And I honestly love being an example for other people also, that you can leave this other paradigm or whatever you were told is the right way to be spiritual, and you can just do it your way. And a big part of it too, what I'm using my money on is very different than what other people are using their money on. Like I can use my money in a way that feels good for me. I don't have to just be like everyone else, because I think that's something too. There are some horrible examples of wealthy people in the world, but you don't have to be like them.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. And I think that is a part of going out in the world and being fully confident in ourselves, is being like, I know what I'm worth, and I know that I'm gonna handle it with integrity, and not caring if people don't understand that, and also not being afraid, like you said, to be the model and to be the one to go first. That's something I've been talking about a lot in different areas of our lives, is being willing to go first when it's too scary for other people, or if just for some reason there's a block, or it's just your path to walk it first. You can be the one to say, no, we can do this. And I think that we need more people who are willing to do that. Okay, I want to go back to specifically the intuition piece and ask you more about your connection with your intuition. And I'm curious, when you were talking about even going back to that first moment you had in your bedroom when you heard that voice, or even in the van when you heard that voice tell you to get out of the van, do you feel like that was your intuition, or do you feel like that was some other God or something separate?
You know, I don't know. I really don't know. What I do know, it's that it is a very specific energy when it comes, that I cannot question it. I cannot doubt it. And like sometimes I'm like, oh God, like really? Like that's what's going on. I remember when I was living in this beautiful resort mansion in Accord. It was so gorgeous. It was a yoga studio there and a whole sauna, and it was a dream come true. I was there for maybe 2 years or something. Wow. And I was looking out the window and that voice came again. It was like, get ready, you're moving out of here in a few months. And I was like, what?
I like it here.
And I'm like, oh God. And the voice was just like, yeah, get ready. And it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a little crazy. And I was like, all right. And so because I have heard that voice before, and it just comes in thunder lightning, and it doesn't feel like it's like my voice. I don't know what it is. I was just like, well, okay, I better prep. And a big part of the prep was spending more time home and enjoying it and just being like, well, that voice said I'm leaving.
Gotta
so
soak it in.
Yeah, let's soak it in. And I just started looking at other options and stuff. And maybe a month later, the whole place flooded.
Wow.
Super flooded, which at first I'm like, well, maybe I can work through this. But then it was a mold fest show. So they had to like gut all the floor and do everything over. So I was like, well, here it is. Here's the voice being right again. So I feel like it's just kind of in these moments of transition, or if I'm like really misaligned, or if I am praying, like, show me the way, that, yeah, this voice comes in and changes the course of my life. It's always when there's like a big transition coming. So I feel like that's a particular voice, but then there is the voice that comes with plants. When I do sit with Hape in the morning and stuff, or if I'm just dealing with something and sit with a cup of tea, that there is this voice from different plants that offer me different insight and advice and guidance. But that other voice, it just comes unprompted. I don't know from where, but I feel like, yeah, I could say it's God, but I feel like God is like a 3-letter word. Like, what is God? So I feel like it's beyond just that word.
I get it. And I do think that there's certain things we can't explain. And if we do start to conceptualize it, it takes so long. We don't have control over how that shows up for us. But I think it comes back to being open to it and willing to receive it.
Totally. And that's a big part of my prayer. I do the guided tree mantra also. It's pretty much saying, in all the realms, what is giving rise to all the realms, like the sleeping, dreaming, waking, the past, present, future, that which is animating it all, the way that like the sun is self-luminous. You know, the sun isn't there, we don't see a moon. So like that self-luminosity within all these realms, like may it guide me on the right path. And it actually says, may you forcibly guide me. So I love that mantra because I just feel it's me opening up and surrendering to this guidance, to this realignment of God, and like whatever way, shape, form that takes, like I'm down. So it is a little intense sometimes, but I'm like, whatever, show me the way. Because I don't know, I don't know. Sometimes I think I know what I want, and then I have it and I'm like, actually, this is not what I thought it was. And then when I surrender and I just allow myself to go to the flow, I'm like pleasantly surprised.
I'm the same. I'm like, whatever my intuition tells me to do, I'm going to do it, even if it seems crazy or I don't understand it or I don't want to do it. And I think that is one reason why some people shut off that voice, is because it often tells them to do something that they don't want to do, or that they don't understand, or that seems outside of what they're comfortable with or have been told they should do. And it really takes being willing to trust. Trust has been my word of the year, but just really allowing yourself to so strongly trust your path and to not get in your own way and not need to question or understand it all, especially beforehand, which is really scary because us humans, especially as Virgos, want control and we want things to be organized and in their place. And that's just not how life is, especially when you're living it in the way that we both seem to be devoted to, of following our intuition and really wanting to be connected to our path.
I find that memory is my biggest friend in that. Like all the things I didn't understand why they happened that way, I look back and I'm like, oh, it's perfect. I'm so glad things worked the way they did, because it allowed me to acquire certain information, or I thought it was not a good road I was going down, but it actually ultimately led me to where I needed to be. I always try to just come back to that. Life really is rooting for us if we allow ourselves to see it that way and move in that way.
Yeah, I think that that's a mindset that is so important to take on, that life is on your side. Because I think otherwise it's so easy to be like, oh, why did this happen to me? Or just automatically assume that things aren't working out when they don't make sense. But really, everything's working out in your favor. And when I can see life in that way or remind myself that, I immediately feel a sense of relief.
Yeah, I think a part of that is sometimes when I have something good or I have control over it and then I lose that grip, I'm like, well, it can never be good again. It can't be this good. Like, this was the best. And I'm like, why would I not choose to think it can actually get better, or it can get more in alignment, or it can get more magical or adventurous or whatever, where it's like another flavor or texture of life that I'm going to be able to learn, instead of just like, well, this is what I can control, what I'm comfortable with, and it just needs to stay here forever. So those moments where, like that beautiful big mansion, once I left that, I learned so much through the journey after that. And I love where I live now. And it's a beautiful home. And I also have got that voice not that long ago. It's like, you're going to be leaving again. I'm like, oh God, where are we going now? So I'm really actively in the process right now of trusting and being like, it's all just moving the way it needs to go.
Yeah, I think it connects to the money piece in the sense that we're allowed to live a life of joy, and life can always get better. I'm curious, especially since you recently heard that voice again, if you feel like you are about to enter a new chapter of your life, and if so, it can be hard to put labels on this and neatly, succinctly explain these things, but what do you feel like is the chapter you're leaving behind, and what do you feel like is the chapter you might be entering?
Oh Lord, so I'm pregnant. So that's a whole chapter.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
That's so exciting.
Thank you. Oh Lord, I'm leaving.
That's a whole new chapter.
Whole new chapter. And talk about like lack of control and unknowns. All of it. It's so wild. So I mean, just entering the chapter of motherhood and oh my God. So connection to the plants and the earth and stuff have been a major grounding force during this time. And even this morning I was holding my belly praying, hey little space baby, star being, you probably have some insight. Show me the way too. You're probably smarter than I am. And yeah, God like just help me be attuned to whatever it is that I need to see so that I can be the best mom and create the best environment for this family that I possibly can. It's a lot.
That's so beautiful. And the ultimate test of trust and lack of control and the ultimate unknown. We need more moms like you who are willing to teach their baby a new way and to let their baby speak to them and be open to who they are instead of deciding before they're even born.
Totally.
And so I love how you said, like, just attuning to the baby and what they're saying to you in this moment. It's so exciting. You're not only birthing a new chapter for yourself, but just a whole new being.
That's been the part that's tripping me out the most. Like, this is a being that, God willing, will be out in the world talking and doing things and just weaving with this life in this world. Like, it's huge, just like how life will create space for this whole other part of life to emerge. And yeah, I've always seen parenting as such like a huge responsibility. I like nannied quite a bit when I was younger. And I just have like a lot of amazing mom friends and around kids a lot. So I'm really grateful of like good examples too, or what I think are good examples of like, yeah, parents that are really like just supporting the uniqueness of a child instead of being like, this is the way, this is the right way, this is how I did it, this is how I was raised, and this is how you have to do it to be right. Yeah, and just like even being, I feel like the only thing I want to teach them is my main responsibility is like their connection to earth and to spirit and to God, and you know, whatever ways that like forms for them is fine, but like at least making that a staple in their life I think is just very important. So yeah, like it felt like such an important nest where I've been living, to just like ground into my work and my offerings and to like grow my business and to just have like some deep, peaceful rest where I've been as well. It's just such a beautiful home. So I'm leaving behind this whole aspect of being an individual. I'm super individualistic. Starting to not just see myself as I'm just responsible for me in the world is fucking huge. I'm like, oh my God. And so this home, and I don't necessarily know if I'll be staying in the area either. So there's just so much up in the air right now that I'm so glad babies take 9 months to make. Because I'm gonna have some time to process and digest this all. But yeah, it was a little planned baby and all. So it's just where me and my partner, Jason, are really just feel so blessed and grateful and excited to do it. So even that, this whole merging with another person as well. So I feel like just leaving behind this very individual maiden and like going into family, mother, and that whole chapter of life is turned up.
Truly, we're both about to enter our Saturn returns. And again, you little human design stuff, but you're a 6th line in human design. And it's your profile, which is kind of like your archetype in the world. And it's said that people with a 6th line move through 3 different phases. The first 30 years of your life is all about experimenting and trying things and falling and learning and growing. And then when you turn 30 and go through your Saturn return, you go what they call on the roof. It's like looking down at all your experiences and really integrating them and embodying them and really taking on this whole new shift. And I've seen it so profoundly. All the 6 lines who I know who have passed that like 30 mark, their lives have dramatically changed. And it's been so wild in really beautiful ways. A lot of them have similar childhoods where they had a lot of crazy experiences, whether it's drugs or mental health or all the things. And then they really grew into themselves in a really beautiful way. And sounds like there's some of that as well. So I just thought I would share that with you. I just feel such full trust for your path because you are so willing to be present with yourself. And even though you and your partner don't know where you're going to land and how this next chapter is going to completely unfold, I know that this baby is going to be so loved and taken care of. And even though it feels like there is a huge part of the transition from individual to family or collective in a way, it's going to be such a personal journey for you as well and bring you even closer to yourself in new ways.
It already has, even just managing my time and my energy and boundaries, and even what has become clear on what is sustainable for me moving forward and like what doesn't feel sustainable. It's this other being, but it's directly influencing my life and how I want to run it and engage with it and all that. It's been so cool, and even just like bringing me closer to my intuition also. I mean, especially, oh my God, with like mom's pregnancy and all that, there's just so much of like, this is what you do, and advice and how you should go about it, and opinions. There's so many opinions, and I felt like I got a little overwhelmed at first, and I had to be like, okay, I need to shut that all off and just listen to like myself for some time, and like what actually feels true and right for me as an individual. You know, like I'm not who that person is, raised or done the things that that person has done, or the same worldview. So like, what does me as who I am and what I've acquired and like my specific essence, what does that need, and like what fits in my world? So yeah, it's been really, really wild, cool journey so far. Another part too that I'm like when you mentioned about like the trust that I have, and thank you, that was so sweet. Also, my partner, he's like very spiritual. His whole thing is prayer and trust in God. So it feels so supportive to have that as the backbone also of this relationship, that we both are really on the same page with our outlook and how we want to parent, but also how we want to just maneuver the unknown step by step, and it being this connection to earth and God and this bigger picture, and letting ourselves be guided by it.
Yeah, to have that support in him is probably so helpful. It sounds like every step you've taken and lesson that you've learned has prepared you for this next test of trust and devotion to life. So you are ready. I am not worried.
Thank you. Oh yeah, I'm just watching birth videos, like it has to come out of a vagina. Oh my God.
That's what happens. I was never told.
Like, oh Lord. Like, it's funny, all my mom friends are like, oh, you're gonna have fun with that. It's like this wild DMT trip. I'm like, all right, we'll see.
I feel like it's really only something you can experience.
That's been actually one of the biggest grounding forces. I don't know if I have a miscarriage next month. I don't know if I have a C-section. Like, I'm so realistic with things that I'm like, I don't know, but I will just show up with my full presence and love and trust, moment by moment, day by day. And yeah, just not even like go into these huge projections of how it's gonna be an orgasmic birth or whatever, or it's gonna be horrible. Like, I don't know. I can just show up and prepare my body in the ways that I know. And like you said, like I have been for years. It's gotten me here. It'll get me through the rest of it. So that's been really helpful, honestly, to not need to find false grounding by saying this is how it's going to be, or because I mean, I had so many friends that like all the ones that I would hear in their pregnancies that are like, oh yeah, I'm going to have a short labor because I'm doing this and this and this, and it's going to go this way. In my head, I'd be like, well, I hope you're not too attached to that, because you're going to be fucking disappointed if that's not how it goes. And it didn't go like that for pretty much all of them. And the ones that were like, I don't know, we'll see, because there wasn't this projection of how it should be, there isn't this disappointment, or it just is what it is kind of thing.
Exactly. And, you know, being the Virgo I am, I like to plan, I like to prepare, but I've learned I plan and prepare with no attachment. And my plans and preparations are probably preparing me for something that I don't even know I'm preparing for. I need to be willing to show up and do what I need to do.
Saves so much energy. Yes. It really does. Like, let me save my energy for what comes instead of being delusional.
Exactly. And it's just another desire for control and safety. It's normal, natural, obviously, but it doesn't actually give us what we want in the way that trust does. I could talk to you forever. I feel like I have so many more things that we could say. Living intuitively wild means connecting to your true self and living dedicated to who you are at your core, no matter what. How do you feel like you live intuitively wild?
Honestly, what I think about is like my relationship to like seasonal living. That has been huge for me since I'm like really young. I find that I truly am a different person every season. Every season has its magic, its essence, its lessons, its ways that it guides me and pulls me, its adventures. So I find that, kind of like I was saying in the beginning, of not being so rigid and just being one way. The seasonal living really allows me to just be in the flow with like my wild nature and with the wildness of just nature itself. If it's like the different foods I eat, you know, or different like yoga practices that I work with, or different herbs that I work with, it like allows me to keep rediscovering myself over and over again in different ways. And it keeps it like fun too.
Oh, I love the answer. I'm so glad you brought that up because that's like a core foundation of my life, and I feel exactly the same. Thank you so much for being here. This was really special. Please share where everyone can connect with you and find you and anything you want to share.
Yeah, so my website is Marely Illumina, and there I have just posted different services that I offer and any upcoming ceremonies and retreats and stuff like that. I'm really leaning more and more into online courses, so those are on there, and still working on making them really pretty and nice on there.
It's a process. Amazing. Well, everything will be linked below. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was so fun. I love talking to you.
Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Intuitively Wild, the podcast. I hope it helped deepen your connection to yourself, sparked some insights, and inspired you to live intuitively wild. If you enjoyed this podcast, it would mean so much to me if you would share it with others and leave a rating and review. And please reach out to me. I would love to connect with you. I will see you next time for more magic.